All right, friends, it's T-Man, and we are back with the new video on JasonBlaha, man. I don't know why. I guess it's been a bit. I got to do a reaction video to JasonBlaha, you know, the strength fitness guy, strength and fitness channel, the gym, lifting, recruiting, gear, fitness slave himself, JasonBlaha, the lifting gym slave. So we're going to do a reaction video. I guess this is his basket. Wow, he's got a steak in there and this putrid stuff, Greek yogurt. All right. Anyways, going to do a reaction video to Blaha. Blaha says, how much protein do we really need to gain muscle? Well, you don't once you reach a myonuclear domain limit. You can't synthesize any more protein if you don't have any more nuclei, because nuclei synthesize protein, so it doesn't matter how much protein you eat.
You do not need as much.
What you're doing in the gym is turning over protein, inflaming your muscles, constantly walking around with inflamed muscles, and your glycogen loading because you are adapted. You are adapted, so you are now an endurance athlete. So you're glyco-loading. And so those phony muscles that you're glyco-loading, they look like muscles, but they're not. If a muscle glyco-loads and gets big, did you gain any muscle? What kind of muscle did you gain? Glyco. Man, it's phony muscles, bro, whatever. That's why in science they tell you there's two types of hypertrophy. There's myofibrillar growth, which is based on myofibrillar, and then there's sarcoplasmic growth, which is based on sarcoplasm expanding. The sarcoplasm expanding. That's what it is. Okay, dude? So, to grow myofibrillar growth, that is based on EIMD training. Now, sarcoplasmic growth is not based on anything. You can be adapted and you can get lots of it. It's based on how much glycogen you're loading, how much you're pumping, getting the pump, and going to the gym often. And whatever else there.
Much protein as you've probably been told that you do. Hey, everybody,
it's like adapting to lifting heavy weights. It's neurological. It's neurological.
JasonBlaha here. I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. And again, this is one we put out objective, unbiased data. And this is the stuff that even the best experts in the
man, again, the best experts
fitness world have come out at this point and said, people who actually have research backgrounds who look at these things and they say, yeah, there can be certain benefits to going beyond these protein intakes, but gaining muscle?
No, there's no benefits. I explained this, man, one more time in this video because I'm tired of this dude. So one more time, we're going to explain this, all right? All right, so we know that muscle has a myonuclear domain size, has a limit. What is that limit? Right here. MND size has a ceiling limit during hypertrophic process, beyond which extra myonuclei are donated by satellite cell to do what? To support further muscle growth. So it doesn't matter how much protein you eat. To support further muscle growth, you need more nuclei. So the question is, how do you get more nuclei to support further muscle growth? See what I mean? That's the question. You have to ask him, but he doesn't know that because all the experts, according to Blaha, all the experts,
does not appear to be one of them. Not only gaining muscle, it's preserving muscle mass in a calorie deficit. Doesn't even seem to...
Preserving muscle mass? I don't understand preserving. You're not preserving anything. People are walking in the street all day long. What's preserving their muscle mass? Whatever they're eating, they're living, they're walking. That's what's preserving their mass. Now, if they're in a concentration camp and they were starved to death, then there would go their mass. Their mass would leave.
Be the case unless you were trying to get absolutely contest shredded. And even to my knowledge, only one study ever conducted on natural bodybuilders even found that to be the case. Keep in mind, it's a single study, and that was Dr. Eric Helms's.
Dr. Eric Helms? Okay, whatever.
Doctoral work that he did his PhD in. He did it on natural bodybuilding.
Who cares?
Doctoral work that he did his PhD.
Dr. Eric Helms is nobody, okay? I don't need to listen to him. All I need to do is read NCBI, PubMed. They've paid lots of money into these studies.
He did it on natural bodybuilders. And, you know, so again, if you're only trying to cut...
Yeah, he done on natural bodybuilders. Give me a break, man. Whatever.
down to 9 or 10% body fat just to have a nice six-pack, you can even disregard that data because it was in people cutting down to 5%. So what are the numbers that we have and how does it conflict?
Man, if you go into nuclei overload, precedes hypertrophy, it tells you the same thing. And everywhere in science it tells you, without these nuclei, they synthesize protein. Without that nuclei, you cannot support further muscle growth. That's why everybody's complaining out there. I have a genetic limit, a newbie gain limit, and I'm a hard gainer. Okay, dude, it's really simple. It's not fucking rocket science.
With historical numbers. And this is...
The question is, what do you need to do to get more nuclei? How are nuclei created? First of all, you need to figure out how are nuclei created. See that? How are they created? When the satellite cell is activated, okay, but what activates the satellite cell? Muscle, these injuries. It says in science that muscles need to be injured to activate what? The nuclei. Okay, I mean not the nuclei, the satellite cell. And then the satellite cell does what? It splits, divides, increases in number, turns into fucking myoblasts or whatever. It differentiates into myoblasts and a bunch of things. Fibroblasts, myoblasts. And then what does it do? It donates its nuclei to what? To that domain. To do what? To support further muscle growth. Okay, the question is this. Now that you know what activates the satellite cell injury, okay, what do you need to do? What do you need to do to get more nuclei? If the satellite cell donates its nuclei, what do you need to do to get it to donate more nuclei? You need to do what? Injure muscle fibers. Okay. Okay, so how do you injure muscle fibers in the gym? So that would be the next question. How would you injure it? And then when muscles are injured, what do you need to do after when they're injured? What are all the sequences, these sequences of events? What do you need to do? When a muscle is injured, what does it usually go through? It goes through a repair and a remodeling, right? Okay, so when a muscle is injured, it goes through repair and remodeling. How long does it fucking take for a muscle to go through a repair and a remodeling now that it's got these micro injuries? Okay, what do you need to do when they're in a micro injured state? Oh, protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown. That's what science says, right? Oh, okay. Well, there you go. See what I mean? The question is, how do you get them? How long does it take? A bunch of things, all right? And do they get injured all the time? Well, no, because repeated bout effect protects muscle from repeated bout of fucking muscle injuries. So it's kind of obvious. You need to figure it out.
What we find, and I've seen a lot of people...
It isn't based on being a fucking endurance lifter in the gym. It isn't based on adapting to lifting weights. I'll explain this. Muscle myofibrillar growth is not based on fucking lifting a fucking heavy weight repetitively in a fucking gym. Get it, dude? Absolutely fucking not, okay? Or being a fucking endurance athlete. Fucking growing sarcoplasmic muscles, okay? Because you're busy, I'm fucking, what do you call it? I'm resting, or whatever the fuck they call this thing, these people all the time.
Like Minnow put out very in-depth reviews of this, of taking all the peer reviews and breaking...
Sorry, I meant to say recovering. I'm recovering. You know who the fuck recovers? Endurance athletes recover. Us bodybuilders, we grow. We don't fucking recover. So we don't go to gyms to try to recover. We go to gyms to damage muscle, and then we go through repair and remodeling, protein synthesis, exceeds breakdown, and then we come back and repeat these cycles. That's what we fucking do. That's what real bodybuilders do. But these fucking fake bodybuilders or fake lifters, this is what they do. They look skinny and they try to lose body fat. They look like him, skinny and weak. That's what. And then they pretend they lift a heavy weight by injecting strength in their arse. They inject it, called plant genetics, these fucking hormones, so that they can lift a heavy weight because they can't lift it themselves. That's not how you progress in lifting heavy weights. You progress by repeatedly going through these bouts of injuries, and then you get stronger, and then it stays. You don't have to practice being a lifting slave to the gym forever. That's the whole point about building more myofibrillar growth. Hello?
Down and looking at it systematically, and keeping in mind that's someone who is a bodybuilder. He cares about bodybuilding. This is not just a lab coat guy. So he pointed that out, that all these studies have found that really that 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight is your safe zone. So when people say, so what is that? So if you weigh 220 pounds or 100 kilograms, that's 160 grams of protein a day. Okay, that is your wiggle room. People say, well, I want an insurance policy. No, you can go under that.
What is this guy mumbling about, man? Insurance policy, 1 gram per body weight. You could eat 100 grams per body weight, and guess what? Without those additional nuclei, you can't synthesize protein. Why do you think Blaha is not growing? He's lifting every day in the gym. If you could lift every day and your body would keep getting bigger, every time you lifted a weight and your muscles just exponentially kept getting bigger because you lifted a weight, you commit suicide and die. You understand me? You kill yourself. So every time people eat garbage food, they get what? They keep getting fatter and fatter. Some people get even super fat to 1,000 pounds, 600, 700. You understand me? That's just crazy because it has no limit. It's not bound to the myonuclear domain size limit. The fat cell broke, get it? You understand me? Neither is this sarcoplasmic shit.
And still be in the optimal range. What they have found is that that is the absolute threshold where there isn't any insurance policy beyond that. I'm just making...
No, he's not. He's making this stuff up.
Sure. No, because that gets you there already. Okay, that makes up for the fact that maybe your diet might not be fully the best proteins, right? Someone who has a lot of more inferior proteins in their diet might actually benefit from hitting that 1.6. Okay, different things maybe.
You're not going to benefit. You've run out of nuclei.
Some minor malabsorption issues. Okay, but what they have consistently found.
All of you got it in the beginning when you came in the gym because you didn't recognize what this is, this cycle of building muscles.
Consistently found over and over is that for many people, the range is actually a little lower. At least one study on even competitive bodybuilders found that...
I'm going to tell you right now, it is astronomically high to build muscle. It is extremely hard to build muscle. That's why people take steroids. They build it fakely. Now, you could build it. You're not eating enough glycogen. You're not eating enough potatoes to build these fake sarcoplasmic muscles. I've done videos on them on my old channel. I showed you a couple of weeks working out once a week for glycoloading. That's it. That's all you have to do, and then glycoload the rest of the week. It's the same cycle would apply. Just like protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown. Well, you're not working out that whole week while you're micro injured, are you? No, you're building muscle. Okay, so if you want to glycoload, come in the gym, work out once a week, and then glycoload the rest of the week. It will be open. There will be a window open for glycoloading, and you will build these sarcoplasmic hypertrophy fake muscles. Okay, dude? You'll build them faster than the last time.
Muscle growth and muscle.
So all natural people can look like steroid people. You can look like them. But as far as the body fat looking really ripped, they're using anabolics. So they're counteracting this, like the water between the skin and the muscle and all that. They're using anabolics. They're using fucking for a cosmetic look. It's very specific.
Protein synthesis maxed out at even 1.2 to 1.
Protein synthesis doesn't max out. There's no protein synthesis without additional nuclei, dude.
3 grams per kilogram of body weight, and that was also because they were probably using whey protein supplements and stuff, which are superior protein gram per gram. So put that in context. So for a 220-pound bodybuilder, that's 120 grams of protein. Now, this is where we get into the base. When you bring this up, people will try to say, well, you can't say that we only need the RDA. Well, no one is saying you only need the RDA. Okay, that's like double the RDA. So if you go off of data like that, those ones on the lower end of that spectrum, like that 1.2, that is saying that the optimal range is at least double the RDA, right? The RDA only gets you about halfway there. So yes, we would all agree the RDA is completely wrong for lifters, completely wrong. It doesn't work like that 60, 65 grams, what they want people to get, okay? But it's also a far cry from what the supplement industry is trying to push to you. And I think what people have to remember, this is not...
Supplements do not get over myonuclear domain size limit. Do you understand me? putting water in your muscle, putting water in your muscles doesn't do anything. It just makes your muscles bigger with water.
Not a new idea to say, look, this is all just supplement stuff doing this, and it's possible to maximize your gains on way less. There were some big names way back in the day in bodybuilding who were already saying the same thing. So before people jump in and say, well, I want to see it in the real world, okay, maybe that's true in these labs, but all these bodybuilders have done that. And it's like, yeah, but how many of them have done it because they were told to? And then how many of them chose to do different and still got just as good of results? I mean, how about Mike Minter? How about like Nasser El Sambate? I always get his name wrong. I always call it Sambati, but I think it's Sambate. Right? Mr. Olympia contender. The guy was monstrous. The guy was like shredded at 250 when the guys were not. He was one of the bigger guys, top 3 biggest guys in the world at that time. Okay? He had said in some interviews that, he tried for a while even prepping for like the Mr. Olympia on as little as 150 grams a day.
He was prepping for Mr. Olympia 150. He didn't need any protein. He fucking took steroids, you understand me, and artificially built muscles. It wasn't built because he ate a bunch of fucking protein, these fake bodybuilders. This is the problem with Blaha. He confuses fake with real constantly, bouncing back and forth. How the hell can any of you progress? You understand me? Me, I'm a real channel. I'm a real fucking bodybuilder. I ain't these fake bodybuilders or anything. And I don't even bodybuild and I look like a bodybuilder. Do you understand me? Because I built my body fucking 25 fucking years ago. You understand me? When I discovered what really builds muscles. I couldn't do it earlier. I was always busy in my 20s. So I started doing it in my late 20s when I had time and money to do it. If I had the money and the time to do it when I was younger, I would have done it. You understand me? I already understood the concept of what builds muscles, EIMD training. That has nothing to do with being a gym lifting slave.
Under 200 grams, even in his off season, and he's like, I honestly had no trouble gaining muscle. I had no trouble getting shredded. I had no trouble.
No, he's had all trouble doing that. That's why he's always having trouble. Through all his videos, he showed them in the past, remember? Plus, he takes TRTs. He takes steroids, gear. He takes lots and lots and lots of gears to lift weights and everything. He's got lots of problems.
Placing in the top 5 for the Mr. Olympia. Okay? Now when you have someone say that, people's counter arguments tend to be, well, he's on gear, he got away with that. Well, if your argument's going to be, well, these studies are on a bunch of natural people, so therefore we can't apply it to serious bodybuilders, then you can't turn around and argue and say, well, if the serious bodybuilders on tons of gear try the same thing and it works, we can't use it. So it's like, so there's nothing that works then. So again, context, people. But that was an example. Mike Minter said the same thing. I mean, he talked about that in the 80s of like, look, guys, it's you don't need that much. Like, you probably should never even need over 200 grams of protein to be at the Mr. Olympia. He said that. He's like, you just need enough. It's like there's no evidence for it. And biologically, it doesn't even make sense, particularly for gaining muscle. Why? Because you need to accrue new tissue proteins, and we are recycling proteins all the time.
Yeah, that's all you're doing is recycling proteins. You're not building any new so-called new tissue. Without those nuclei, you cannot synthesize any more protein. The satellite cell is beyond where it can donate any more extra nuclei to that domain to support further muscle growth. That's why a unique feature of untrained muscles is they get stiff and sore the next day due to what? Muscle damage. That's a unique feature of untrained muscles. And what does it say? Nuclei precedes hypertrophy, not lost on detraining in NCBI. That map shows you untrained first training satellite cell fusion, hypertrophy reached the domain limit. That's it, broski. So now, what do you need to do? The question is, you have to ask yourself, what do you need to do to get more nuclei to support further muscle growth? And remember, when you do get them, protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown during that period. If it doesn't, there's an apoptosis.
Okay, we are recycling hundreds of grams of our tissue proteins every day already.
Like, how hard is that really to understand? That doesn't take a genius to understand that.
Your net protein gain in a day is only a few grams. It's only a few grams. Like, you're not putting on more than 5 to...
If I was to do a competition right now with Blaha, he does his training and I do my training. Even at 57 and him being 47, I'll still beat him. I'll beat everybody out there. As a natural lifter, I'll get bigger than you and as big as these people on steroids, if not bigger than them. So whatever, okay? I don't need any steroids. I just need to know the fundamentals of what builds muscles. That's it. And I already know both of sarcoplasmic and myofibrillar growth, so I can move for both.
10 grams of new actual protein into your muscles in a single 24-hour period, even using magical supplements, let alone...
Again, those magical supplements, they don't build muscles. Nuclei do. Without additional nuclei, you ain't growing any jack shit. The only thing that those steroids do, they're testosterone. They're grabbing more glycogen and putting it in the muscle, giving you more of these sarcoplasmic phony muscles.
Natural. Okay, so from that...
They even mention this in science. That's what bodybuilders get. Sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. I've done it on my old channel a million times, bro. I had it in the community section, even from NCBI reports and everything. They talk about it.
Context, you should look at it and go, well, we don't need that much. But then if that's the case, that also displays how inefficient the human body can be, because we still see...
No, it's very efficient. It is not meant to build any muscle. It needs to carry you through a famine and everything. Do you understand me? That's why.
Extra muscle growth by adding 50 grams over the RDA.
Science tells you are born with a certain amount of muscle fiber count, and they carry you throughout the rest of your lifetime. Now, can they mass up, get smaller and bigger? Yeah, but they can only get so big and they only can get so small. They have a nuclear domain size limit. You understand me? Now, when they get injured, now that's a different story. Through exercising, you've damaged these muscle fibers, but then they're protected because when they repair and remodel a lot stronger. So how strong are you to re-damage them? That is the question. How strong are you to re-damage these muscle fibers so that you can get them to grow bigger and stronger one more time, or two more times, or three more times, or four more times? Get it? Because they are now protected from further assaults, from you lifting, because you're a weakling. That's why you can't damage your muscle fibers. Blaha is weak. That's why he can't damage his muscle fibers. Why can't he damage them so they can grow bigger and smaller? Because he's a weakling. Get it? He can only lift the weight for 1 rep because he's weak.
And then sometimes going a little higher. So that does go to show you that our metabolic machinery isn't as efficient as we would like. But if it was purely a case of, well, yeah, we have to build more muscle, therefore we need more of the stuff that muscles are built out of. Yeah. But that's a very, very, very small amount in a single day. And again, when we look at the data, we find the reality is way closer to between the two extremes. Right, between what the RDA and experts say you need for basic health versus what the supplement industry has said you need to gain muscle. The true number is actually about evenly between the two. And this is what all the best research shows. And then on top of that, it's not like it hasn't been tested in the real world. Tons of serious competitive bodybuilders following these practices at this point have found that, yeah, it works just fine. You don't need the excessive amounts you've been told for those purposes. There can be other benefits and metabolic benefits and certain things with recomposition for overfeeding, but gaining muscle is not one of them.
Recomposition for overfeeding and all that, for gaining muscle is not one of them. No, man.
All right, guys, but that's...
Blaha is just all over the place. He doesn't know what he's talking about. It's just a waste of time. He's aged himself 25, 30 years. Look at him. He's aged himself nice and beautifully. Yeah. And me, actually, I look so much better. You saw my leaner videos that I put up. I got lean so fast eating at the buffet during the summertime. Yeah, so I look so much better. Facially, I look better. Physically, leaner, better, stronger, faster, a whole bunch of stuff. Powers come back because I'm on natural diet. not eating these carbs, which make you dysfunctional and your mitochondria over time, DNA damage and all that. You can't force this chemical damage out of your cells. You have to force it out by eating a natural diet. But he's so unnatural at this point. Who cares? I'll see you in the next one, friends. Tell us what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. See you in the next video. I gotta go, man. I gotta go to the buffet. See you later.